Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've done it. Congratulations to everybody who has voted. As I'm just finding out minutes ago, David Perron is in the All-Star game. Well done, everybody. Claps all around. Well done to everybody in St. Louis. We will have, let me just count, Alex Petrangelo, Jordan Binnington, David Perron, Craig Berube, Ryan O'Reilly. We now have 5 different members of the St. Louis organization representing the hometown squad at the 2020 All-Star Game. That's right, David Perron in the All-Star Game just breaking a few minutes ago. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Blues Rants podcast. I am your host, as always, Philip Miller. We will jump into the win a couple days ago over Buffalo. We'll talk about tonight's game against New York. Puck drops at Enterprise Center in an hour here. We'll talk a little bit about the Cardinals making some big moves over the last couple of days and what they could do moving forward. And, of course, we'll get you some sound bites as well as the first goalie goal since I want to say 2013, October 9th. Pekka Rinne with a goalie goal. Always fun to see. But we will start off with 5-1 over the Buffalo Sabres. What a game. What a fun time that was. It's you notice whenever the Blues have a game where they're still leading handily and you're thinking, "Oh, wow, okay, there's not a whole lot going on, it's been pretty much in the Blues' favor the whole time." That's when you know the Blues are getting to their style of game, because the Blues, again, do not play the most exciting hockey in the league, but they play the right kind of hockey. They wear the opponents down by just spending forever in your own zone and eventually punishing for you with it. And that's what happened in this game against the Sabres, particularly of this third line. How about this third line of Robert Thomas, Tyler Bozak, Robert Thomas, Tyler Bozak, and Alex Steen. All of them registering goals, all of them registering a 6-9 total points last 2 nights for the Bozak, Thomas, and Steen line, this quote-unquote third line. They've been dominant in the last 6 or 7 games. I want to say in my game day report they've accumulated a total of 22 points, something like 7-8 goals amongst the 3 of them. They have been absolutely on fire. Good to see Alex Steen finally getting a goal in, and it wasn't an empty net, although he did score an empty net later, and he had 2 goals on the night. But his patience has finally been rewarded. I know a lot of people have been getting on him for not scoring, but you look at the play of that third line that night, and you see exactly the reasons why Alex Steen is still such a central part to this team, at least on the depth side. No, he's not scoring goals like crazy anymore as he did back just a few seasons ago. But Alex Steen still is making so many of the right decisions along with Tyler Bozak and Robert Thomas. You see the mentality there. You see the gel and the cohesion that line has for every single goal. First goal that we saw by Robert Thomas, just a wicked shot, man. Anybody see some flashes of David Perron in there with a little curl drag move? I sure did. Great little pick your corner shot there by Robert Thomas. Again, glad to see Robert Thomas actually shooting the puck more, because we know he can shoot pretty good and he can score pretty well. The second goal by Tyler Bozak. Bozak, you see the exact same set play that you see from the first goal that didn't quite work. So Bozak tries to feed Robert Thomas. It was just a little too hot to handle. It goes careening into the boards on the near side. Robert Thomas grabs it, quickly looks over his options, and again does that little curl drag move and scores. Now you look at the second goal, and this time you've got Tyler Bozak heading over to his right and Robert Thomas on the left looking to make that pass. And this is the thing I love the most about Robert Thomas. You watch him in tonight's game. You can watch him the game after that. You can watch him for the end of the rest of the season. Look at Robert Thomas specifically and find me a pass that he doesn't connect on. Robert Thomas has got to be the crispest, sharpest passer in the entire Blues roster right now, and I absolutely love it. He can make the most unrealistic passes, whether he is being hounded by two other defenders, whether he is trying to do it from behind his back, whether it's a no-look pass from out of nowhere. This man just finds a way to get you the puck, and that's a real critical thing to understand and appreciate. Even if he's not scoring goals, the assists that this man is tallying are really not something to overlook. He's been fantastic with the puck and without the puck. I love the power that's being shown by this third line, especially, by the way, guys, remember, we still don't have Vladimir Tarasenko. We're still getting wins. Remember this time last year, we were still around the bottom of the 31 teams, not 31st anymore, but we were still at the bottom. And you look at the way the season is broken out, man, it looks like they've shown no signs of rust, no signs of Stanley Cup hangover from the success of last year. They've just picked up right where they left off under Craig Berube, and they're still playing the same style of hockey. It's not always the prettiest, it's not always the cleanest, but it's getting wins. And at the end of the day, that's the important part. So, another big win for the Blues against the Sabres. David Perron scoring off a one-timer on the power play. Good to see the power play still getting things done. Jack Eichel with a lone goal for the Buffalo Sabres. And I mean, at that point, yes, there probably could have been a little more work to stop Jack Eichel, because you really didn't see much of that in the last game they played against Buffalo, that bad loss. But Jack Eichel, he's on another level, man. Jack Eichel is looking to smash his records from previous years. He's like Ryan O'Reilly of the first half of the season last year. I think he's trying to strap Buffalo to his back to carry them into the playoffs. But we'll see if they have any luck with that, because he's one player. He has been absolutely phenomenal. But you look at a lot of the core. I mean, you look at a lot of the game from Thursday, and I really didn't see a whole lot from anybody. Rasmus Ristolainen, I don't know. Like, Linus Ullmark was okay, despite the fact he led in 4. But Jack Eichel has been otherworldly for the Buffalo Sabres. He's trying everything he can to get them in. Doesn't sound like it's going to be very optimistic. Much like Montreal, I think they're in that middle ground. I think the Blues were kind of like this for a little while. They're in that middle ground where they're not tanking. They're trying to. They got the record that indicates they should be tanking, but they're still trying to go for it anyways. And sometimes that middle ground is the absolute worst place to be in when you're in the NHL. You've kind of got to just be one or the other. You look at Detroit. Detroit is in full tank mode. You look at New York, which we'll get into in a minute, and they might be of similar aspect as we start to tee up this game. You look at teams like Ottawa. Ottawa is still in full rebuild mode. But if you have teams that are trying to be in the middle of the pack or still pushing for playoffs when the results are clearly not there, that's when you start to have problems. So we'll close out with that thought for the win against Buffalo. We'll tee up tonight's game against New York. Rangers and Blues in Enterprise Center. Blues are still looking for a 8th straight home win tonight at Enterprise Center. They are undefeated in regulation when scoring first, so that'll obviously be a key aspect to the game. I believe they're 20-7 when scoring first, 20-5, something along those lines. And the New York Rangers tonight, some of the keys to the game. Just like Jack Eichel is being a monster, so is Artemi Panarin. Artemi Panarin has been an unreal machine ever since coming to New York last season. He's 7th in goals and assists. I believe he's 6th overall in points, if I recall that correctly. 24 goals, 37 assists, 61 points on the year. The man has been absolutely unreal. But if you look over the New York Rangers as a team as a whole, New York they're an interesting specimen because they have a very, very picky offense. I think as I was reading Sean Tierney of Charting Hockey, by the way, check out Sean Tierney, also of the St. Louis Athletic. Go check out Sean Tierney's stuff at chartinghockey.com, where you can subscribe to his Patreon. But if you look at some of the charts that he has made, first of all, New York has the second most shots allowed per game. They are the third worst goals against average per game. They're the second most penalized per game. And if you look at some of the possession numbers and some of the Corsi numbers for New York, they're one of the worst by far. Way under 50% for their Corsi numbers. They're not good at preventing the quality shots, those quality chances. Now, the Blues are not the best at generating them, but that's where I think the Blues need to step up tonight, is try and generate those quality shots and just keep New York out of the dirty areas, out of the dangerous slot chances as much as you can. Because, again, they have a picky offense. They don't take a lot of shots, and overall their shot quality is not good. It's one of the worst ones in the league. But for some reason, their quality per shot is actually really, really solid. I know that's probably confusing, and I know I'm probably having a lot of people falling asleep on me here, but that's where I think the Blues have got to excel tonight. Keep everything out of those high danger areas, and you're probably not going to have much of a challenge on the goaltender. Again, just keep up with that possession because, like I said, they don't prevent the quality chances. So if you just keep the possession going, which has been the Blues' MO for the last year and a half, you're going to probably find goals going in, and you're probably going to get the win. That's what I think some of the main keys to the game are tonight. We'll see who is in for the Rangers. This Shesterkin guy has won now 2 in a row. The rumors are ever afoot in New York on the goaltenders. Trade pieces like Ryan Strome, Chris Kreider, among others. You know, again, like I said, it's difficult to see what New York is really trying to plan here, what their action is here, because I think now Chris Kreider, Ryan Strome, Tony DeAngelo has been on fire lately, had a 5-point game against New Jersey. And some of the biggest assets that have been rumored to be shipped out of New York are only picking up heat. So it could be a matter of they're going to try and raise their stock price, if you will, as much as they can before they leave the market, try to get as much out of the trades as they can. But for New York, it's an interesting situation right now because guys like Strome, DeAngelo, Kreider, they're all seeming to get hotter, scoring a whole bunch of goals over there. Tony DeAngelo has been a lights-out prospect for the Rangers so far. 11 goals, 25 assists, 36 points. And he had that hat trick for a defenseman. Pretty good. So that's going to be some of the keys to the game tonight against New York. Again, puck drop is in about 48 minutes here as we continue on. I want to play the soundbite here because we all knew this was probably coming. Here is NHL history from the Nashville's Fox Sports side. I forget, are they west? Are they east? Are they south? Are they north? I don't know. But here is Pekka Rinne scoring a goal.
Pusher on that puck, back of the net. Crawford will go to the bench again. Rinne will try it. Rinne going deep for the empty net. It is bouncing! Oh! Pekka Rinne! What a goal!
Oh my God!
He has scored a goal!
Unbelievable!
Oh, he's been trying that a couple of times over the last few years.
Oh my God.
And what a perfect opportunity. And he buries the Blackhawks.
Well, he's officially done it all now. That is just unbelievable.
So, Pekka Rinne becomes the 12th goaltender in history to score a goal, the 15th goalie goal scored in NHL history. Obviously, Martin Brodeur, one of the guys having multiple goaltender goals. But I believe it's the first time that multiple goaltenders from the same franchise have done it. So I believe, I think it was Craig Smith, the last guy that scored in Nashville. I might have that wrong, but definitely I know that Nashville now has 2 different goaltenders that have scored goals. That's always fun to see. And I've seen it at least once, maybe a couple times here and there, where Jordan Binnington has tried the same thing. You've seen it. He's definitely, I know he's attempted one. He's probably thought of it once or twice, but oh, how fun would that be if Jordan Binnington's the next guy? I would love to see Jordan Binnington get a goalie goal, just further cementing the legacy that he has here. Fantastic hockey news coming out of Nashville. Pretty crazy stuff to have a goaltender score a goal. Always fun time to see. But for anybody who's listening, now is the time. Every episode so far, I've been revealing the identity of a current or former St. Louis Blue, and today is your chance to win the Jordan Binnington jersey. So, final clue for you all. This current or former St. Louis Blue was drafted one player ahead of former Blues captain David Backes. So, first DM to our Blues Rants Twitter, first Facebook message to our Twitter page. I gotta have the little aside here because I was gonna set it up with somebody just texting my phone number. Literally dropped my phone yesterday and completely demolished the screen. I had it in my hands, and I've got like the case, I've got the hard plastic screen protector, I've got all that stuff on there, and then it just, I don't know, it just slipped out of my hand, and I've got a hardwood floor here in my apartment, perfectly just smacked it clean on, and I pick up my phone. I couldn't feel any of the cracks, but there were definitely cracks there, and I had like a bunch of crazy funky looking lights on my screen. So texting option will have to be tabbed aside for now. But if you DM us on Facebook or on Twitter, first person to message us with the correct answer for the identity of that current or former St. Louis Blue player, you will win a Jordan Binnington jersey. All right, so before we continue on, again, wanted to talk a little bit more about that game against Buffalo, specifically about Jordan Kyrou. I know there was a lot of people jumping on him for the right reasons, and as you guys probably guessed tonight, he's not playing. Jordan Kyrou. I'm getting all my Jordans mixed up. How many Jordans have we had in St. Louis history? Like Jordan and Jaden, and we haven't had too many Johns. I'd have to look that up. But Jordan Kyrou scratched tonight against New York. Jacob De La Rose is in his place on the fourth line. Oscar Sundqvist gets moved up to the second line with Ryan O'Reilly and David Perron. Now, Jordan Kyrou, 2 games in a row, he joins the rush with Jaden Schwartz and Braden Shen. 2 times he was in offside after they scored a goal, and the goal had to be reversed because of the challenge. Now, okay, say what you want about the offside challenge. I know a lot of us are pissed off at Matt Duchene for creating this sometimes garbage rule that was put in effect years ago. The first time was legit. The first time, yeah, Jordan Kyrou is plainly offside. That's an easy call to make 5 days a week and twice on the weekends. The second one, sure, yeah, it might have been a little questionable. He might have suffered from the effects of this rule. But this is what I was talking about, Jordan Kyrou not quite having everything all put together on the NHL level. Again, he's got a lot of speed, as we've clearly seen. He can score goals. He can contribute to the play in the O-zone. His D-zone efforts might need a little work. He's great at stripping the puck, especially in the neutral zone. But Jordan Kyrou just has these little details like that one that need to be tweaked in order to get it right. So, I mean, he's skating on the rush with Braden Shen and Jaden Schwartz. And you can see if he stretches the leg out, which a lot of players have known to do, have learned how to do, if he just stretches the leg out right there at the blue line before they enter the zone, that's probably a good goal, and it's just a good play. Jordan Kyrou does not do that. He just skates in on full blast with every single stride that he's got. That's one of just a couple of things I think needs to be fixed with Jordan Kyrou's game. And obviously it's kind of a bad show if you've got 2 goals that were deemed offside because of you in both games in a row. And again, the one in San Jose, that was kind of a game-defining goal. That would have made it, I think, 4-1, and that really would have put the San Jose Sharks away. Now the Blues still get the win, but Jordan Kyrou, you have to update and improve on just little details to the game like that. I mean, imagine if Jordan Kyrou is offside, and rather than it being a rush chance, which the last 2 goals that were turned away were, imagine if it's one of those Blues plays where you take a shift for about 45 seconds to a minute, you start to build, you wear them down, and then eventually somebody scores on that line of him, Jaden Schwartz, and Brayden Schenn. Well, now you've got 3 guys heading back to the bench, now dejected that the goal wasn't allowed, and you've got the next shift of guys coming on basically saying, well, guess we'll just try doing that entire shift in that sequence again. And again, that's a huge momentum shift for any team in any situation. Like sometimes if the pucks just aren't going your way, you manage to challenge a goal that goes in for being offside. That's your way of saying, okay, now we've got momentum. Now we've got a little bit of spark, a little juice to actually try and play for something again. That's a huge moment, and that's a real simple error that just could be fixed by stretching out your leg or just skating like half a stride faster. Remember, Jordan Kyrou is a young kid. Brayden Schenn and Jaden Schwartz, I believe, are approaching their 30s, if they're not already in their 30s. So Jordan Kyrou, I completely understand the benching tonight, and I can understand why Craig Berube was probably not happy with the fact that he's now had 2 goals disallowed because he's just jumped the gun a little too much. That's basically my thoughts on Jordan Kyrou and what he can do tonight. In my opinion, what Jordan Kyrou can do to improve that specific scenario is, first of all, lay a particular eye from the press box on the guy who's replacing you in Oskar Sundqvist. Because I've said in the past that Oskar Sundqvist has one of the better hockey IQs. He just, for all intents and purposes, he just understands the game so well. He has real good knowledge of how to make the offensive zone plays work that the Blues run with, and he has a great mindset for his line mates, like David Perron and Ryan O'Reilly. Or if he's on a line, he's really kind of a spark plug, him and Ivan Barbashev, but I think his mindset is far more elevated than that of Ivan's, no offense to him. So I would keep a really close eye and see what Oskar Sundqvist does on the play, see what the things he does that are right, and again, just watch those zone entries. Another guy to watch is the guy that's replacing him in the game, not necessarily on the line, Jacob de la Rose. Now again, Jacob de la Rose acquired from Robbie Fabry. Robbie Fabry's been lights out for Detroit. Okay, whoop-de-doo. Detroit's literally having a historically awful season. But Jacob de la Rose is the quintessential fourth liner for this Blues team. He's basically bottom 12. I don't think anybody sees him getting much more than a bottom line or a third line presence. But Jacob de la Rose still does so many of the right things in the offensive zone. First of all, his entries are always on point. He's not always the first forward in on the line. That might be like Mackenzie McEachern, but sometimes he carries the puck into the zone. But whether it's a dump in, whether it's him carrying it himself, whether it's chip chase, Jacob de la Rose does so many of the right things in the offensive zone. And even if he's not scoring goals, even if he's not scoring assists, he's still racking up that time in the offensive zone. He's forechecking real hard. He's getting down on the players, getting to the gritty areas. He's not afraid to do any of that. And he buys time and he buys rest for the players that actually do score. So then basically you can make a change on the fly while you're still in the offensive zone, get other guys like David Perron, like Jaden Schwartz, like Brayden Schenn in there, so then we can actually contribute to more of a goal. Again, all of this puck possession time just contributes to more goals for the Blues, and that'll, again, be a big key tonight against the Rangers. So those are two of the big things that I think for Jordan Kyrou. Keep an eye on Oscar Sundqvist and on Jacob Delarose and look at what they do. Look at their zone entries, of course. I'm trying not to beat the dead horse here with the zone entry thing. But when you have 2 offsides in a row that result in goals being called back, that's something you've got to be paying attention to. And it's obviously the reason that he's gotten scratched tonight, for better or for worse. So, looking around some of the other leagues, NFL, Vikings, hopes are dashed. 49ers just defeated the Vikings 27-10. The 49ers off to the semifinals. Titans and Ravens later on tonight at 7:15. Texans and Chiefs tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And the Seahawks and Packers tomorrow, just a little under 5:45 tomorrow. Seahawks and Packers, that'll probably be the other fun one that I'm looking forward to. And being a Chicago Bears fan myself, actually, rooting for the Seahawks in that picture. But anyways, we'll move on to some of the St. Louis Cardinals news coming out of yesterday. Big, huge trade in St. Louis for the Cardinals. Jose Martinez and Randy Arozarena are off to the Tampa Bay Rays for Liberator and Eduardo Rodriguez. Liberator, a 20-year-old sensation. He was drafted 16th overall in 2018. I like this deal. I really do like this deal for the Cardinals, even if, Jose Martinez was just such a spark plug for the Cardinals. He was always just a vibrant, fun guy, no matter what the situation was. But I think I like the trade for Liberator because we have plenty of outfield depth. And again, we've seen time and time again where a lot of our outfielder picks have proven to work out pretty well, whether it was Marcell Ozuna, whether it was Martinez, whether it was Harrison Bader. So I like the trade. I like the deal. I think it's what the Cardinals need. But continuing on from that, we have more rumors coming out of the Cardinals that there's a huge push going on for Nolan Arenado, the absolute stud out of the Colorado Rockies. Craig Mish reporting, not Craig Mish, reports coming in that Arenado could be traded for Liberator, as we just traded, and taking a breath for this, Dakota Hudson, Carlos Martinez, Tyler O'Neill, and Liberator. So could we see Liberator not even play a single game for the Cardinals? It's very well possible. I kind of hope they don't, because that is a huge price tag for Nolan Arenado. I'd rather they stick with him and see, because he's an absolute stud, in my opinion, for pitching, and I think that's really part of where the Cardinals struggled. Same with Dakota Hudson. I like where Dakota Hudson's game is going, even though a lot of people don't. I'm probably in the minority on that opinion. But we'll probably see in the coming days what the Cardinals are going to be doing next. Also, Craig Mish reporting that Marcell Ozuna, probably the Cardinals just a fallback option for him. Again, it's the MLB. The MLB, you go where the most money is offered to you. I know that's very different in the NHL. You've got out of Colorado, who was that Nathan McKinnon, taking a pay cut just to stay in Colorado. You have John Tavares obviously turning down a higher contract offered from St. Louis just to go play in Toronto where he was home. But I think Marcell Ozuna is just going to go where the most money has been offered to him. And I think the Cardinals at this point are just kind of daring him. I think they've sent their offer and they just said, okay, go ahead. Go and try to find a better offer, because I doubt you'll get it. But Marcell Ozuna, probably just a fallback option. Obviously he had a breakout season in 2017 with Miami. You expected a bit of a fallback. Some of his defensive work needed a lot of polishing after this season, but I would love to see Marcell Ozuna back for another year. Again, it's just more depth to the outfield, which I think the Cardinals really have locked down for the last couple seasons. So news with him. Could we see a totally massive retooling of what we got for just to get Nolan Arenado, who even with the huge price tag might still be worth it because he's just been spectacular so far for Colorado. And final news coming out of the Cardinals, John Gant avoided arbitration and signed a 1-year deal with the Cardinals for 2020. So that's going to wrap it up for your Cardinals news. That's probably going to wrap it up for me today, and a little bit early so that we can get to the game. Again, anybody listening, DM us, first DM to Twitter or to Facebook with the correct name of that current or former St. Louis Blue, and you will win a Jordan Binnington jersey. All right, we will close with one other soundbite. Speaking of the New York Rangers, I absolutely love this. Larry David, legendary comedian, noted co-founder of Seinfeld, noted lead actor in Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's fantastic in that role. If you haven't watched Curb Your Enthusiasm or Seinfeld, what are you doing? Fix your life. Here is Larry David, though, on the sports side. I knew he was a big New York Jets fan, but apparently he's also a big Rangers fan. Here is Larry David on ESPN's 98.7 FM.
Now, I don't need any color.
Why did he bench Kako in that third period after he scored first goal in?
Why do I love hearing him say that?
First goal in 14 games and an assist. He benches him because he takes a bad penalty.
Right.
Come on, that's ridiculous.
But you got to learn when you take the bad penalties. You can't be out there in these one-goal games. Every game is important. I can't believe I'm breaking down hockey with Larry David.
But you think putting him on the bench is going to make him? You don't think he knows that he took a bad penalty? He knows. Benching him isn't going to do anything. They need another goal.
He's done a good job. I'm not going to question Quinn.
Wow. Homer.
He's 18 years old.
You are such a fraud.
He won't question his team.
Did you ever have...
Fantastic stuff from Larry David. I love it. Every time the guy opens his mouth, it's just funny. It's just always funny. So that's probably going to do it for the Blues Rants podcast for today, January 11th, 2020. Again, Blues and Rangers on in half an hour, Fox Sports Midwest and ESPN 101. Be sure to tune in to our Twitter for live updates of that game, as well as recaps afterwards. Go to bluesrants.com for everything Blues and San Antonio Rampage, articles, recaps, insights, and more. I will close tonight with another song from another local St. Louis band. They actually did that cover of Laura Branigan's Gloria, if you managed to hear it. Here is Hard Loss with their track In the Gray.
Make me believe in this life I lead while living in the gray. When I'm down